Hey guys, we're here to review tonight Self-Reliance, the new Hulu film starring Jake Johnson and directed by him, and the comedy special that just came out from Dave Chappelle, the Dreamer, not The Dreamer, I don't think. I think it's just called Dreamer. But before we get into them, I just want to know, do we count comedy specials in movie reviews? What do you think? I don't think I've ever asked that question.
I think we should, just because they do set them as, featured films, almost like I would count the Taylor Swift movie as a movie, even though it's still a concert, it's still a movie.
Love that. Great. Oh, okay. I love that. I'm going to adopt that. I like that rule because I don't think I've ever set that parameter for myself. But what got me thinking about it was I really wanted to talk about this because it's been polarizing a lot lately, and I wanted to review it and see it for myself. But at the same time, while going through these movies on Letterboxd, I'm seeing a lot of old comedy performances, and I'm like, do these count as movies? Like, yes, I'm going to put them on here as watched because they are. What do they count? And that'd be a good thing to kind of uncover. But I do agree with you. Yeah, like if you can count the Taylor Swifts, that can be nominated. Even though it's a fluke and they're nominating it for Best Picture and stuff this year to get her to go to the awards. Although great show, great movie, not taking it away from her. I'm going to agree with you on that. So it does count. Good on you, Paul. See, you set a tone. You set a rule here on Scene Snobs. Very nice. Now, our reviews for... Let's go Self-Reliance first. Now, before we share our ratings, what did you think about this, Paul?
So I went into it. I love Anna Kendrick. I'm not going to lie. I typically love her as just a fun actress. I usually know what you're in for with her in any movie, to an extent. And I get the parameters and the whole storyline I thought was cool. When I saw the trailer for this, I was like, well, this is different. This is kind of fun. It's probably going to be comedy and a bunch of little action, like an action comedy is what I was expecting, with a little rom-com. And I feel like they had all the ingredients to make a really funny, good movie. And I feel like they just dropped the ball and just made it kind of idiotic. I feel like they just kind of, if anything, I'd say I feel like it was rushed. I feel like they rushed making it and writing it, and I think if they had taken their time, it could have been a great movie. But it just didn't do it for me at all.
You know what? I thank you. Yeah, because that gave me some things to think about with it. Because when I was watching it, I did enjoy it. Mm-hmm. It's not breaking any barriers, and I definitely think the third act was just kind of fell apart towards the end. But I had a lot of fun with it because there was a lot of experimental sort of filmmaking in there. That I really enjoyed about it. But yeah, overall, it started out as a really cool premise, and I kind of like how it jumped the gun really fast. Like, you didn't go through, it didn't feel like, what's that movie that just came out, Five Nights at Freddy, where every day we have to go through every motion this guy goes through till he gets there. This was like, okay, we get the motion maybe once or twice, and then it's like Andy Samberg shows up, which I was not. I was kind of expecting more of a build-up,
right?
And then him accepting it, it seemed very off because a lot of the decisions this guy took, not that I disagreed with or I thought his character would take, but I was like, but normal people wouldn't. And I was like, kind of dig the fact that he is, though, because he's so lonely. So it set it up really well, and then when they had this dark web show where he has to survive. I even liked as long as you're with somebody. But then it got to this wonderful part of it's turning into sort of a deranged love story.
Right.
And then it just quickly fell apart, within a few days, fell apart. And then you never saw her again. And that's where the third act fell apart for me. I was like, these first two acts set up really something nice. But it didn't ruin it for me until after he won it. And I know I'm spoiling it, but that's not really a spoiler. You're going to get the idea of what's going to happen. And the problem is there is no spoiler. There is nothing that's a turn or a twist. And this is a movie that I felt needed one.
Right.
I don't say that often, and I don't think a big reveal one, but I was kind of hoping that the twist would be the people he cares about set this up.
Right.
So that way he could get through his emotional issues.
Right.
And then I was like, well, maybe, but then when the ninjas and all that started popping out, I was like, oh, maybe this is real. And they're rewarding him for trying or not rewarding him, but I would have liked the explanation of, okay, his dad shows up out of the blue after 30 years. This girl is there and wants to be connected with him. I thought maybe it would have been fun if in the game show, the fans, because the fans really liked them, they were trying to help them.
Right.
I thought they explained we were giving you these people to help you. People can pay for actors to come in and help you or get you through, so that way you can make it through the 30 days, but it's up to you ultimately. I thought that would have been a better explanation for the end there.
Yeah.
Because it really just you don't get an explanation. He does get through it and builds his self-reliance, which is ultimately the the goal of the whole film, the theme of the whole film. But by the time you get to the end, you find out, oh, it's just a game show.
Yeah.
And he's just now done with it. Like it was so lackluster. It didn't feel like he learned anything other than, okay, he survived, but you never even really gave me a good reason on why he's changed,
right?
So yeah, that one brought it down for me. I do think people should need to check it out because that first and second act are really well written, and anybody who wants to learn how to write different acts and act structure, I would point this movie out in like a class and be like, you know what, if you setting it up this way, it worked out well. It's not breaking barriers, but like it wasn't bad. But I think for me, you gave this a rating of 1, right? And I gave this a rating of 3. I gave it a rating of 3 because I thought the acting was well. And we're gonna get to your 1 because that's low, and I'd love to hear why. I gave it a rating of 3 because well shot, well directed, the acting's really good. I like the choices within the story of the character, which made it a lot more interesting. But that's 2 whole points just because your third act was slop. That's a lot, but you gave it a 1, and I would love to hear why.
I think it's because, like I said, I try not to watch trailers, and before I put this on, I put on the trailer. I feel like if you watch the trailer, you pretty much could pick up what was going to happen, minus, like you said, with Anna Kendrick kind of leaving, just being gone. You didn't see that coming. And in all honesty, you were hoping more for like a better ending like that, but I was looking for Anna Kendrick being actually one of the killers. And at the end, he thinks he makes it 30 days. And then she's like, actually, I'm a hired hitman, whatever, hit woman person. I was kind of hoping for that kind of a twist because I was very skeptical of her because I was like, well, they're hitting it off a little too good right now. And like I said, I just think if I hadn't watched the trailer, it might have been okay. I just think I thought it was going to be better because I thought the premise was a lot of fun. Like you said, I don't think it was a bad movie. I just thought I was going to enjoy it, and it'd be one that I could tell people to watch. Like, oh, if you haven't seen this yet, you should go out and watch it. This is more if someone hits me up and asks me about it, I'll be like, you can, but they're going to let you down. And then,
and for me, just so everybody like gets my level, like for when it's a 3, that's not a go and check it out. That's like maybe go check it out. Like from me, like I feel like if you checked it out, you might not hate it. People can take different things from it, and the way it's shot is really fun. But I do see where you're coming from. And yeah, I did too. The part of me was, and Mary was watching too. She's like, I think she's one of the killers. And I was like, that would be a cool twist. But I was like, I'm not getting that feel. Something else is up. And then she was pointing out another thing too. She's like, yeah, she doesn't do this. She doesn't do this. Every time they're talking to somebody, she disappears. She leaves them alone and goes off by herself. Like, so I was like, yeah, I mean, that fits the killer mold. So that would be really cool. So I think when she left and was gone, I was like, if she comes back as the killer, it's going to be useless. So I didn't think they would do that because what's the point of him being like, I met this great girl and blah, blah, blah. And then she comes back and kills him. You're going to destroy it. So I was like, from a writing standpoint, I was like, I don't think she's the killer. And it turns out she wasn't, but they didn't was she just a cameo? Like she, like they were falling in love. And then she just was like, I can't do this. Bye.
And that's why I thought she might be the killer, because I was like, maybe that's internal conflict all of a sudden. I could have even settled if she had hit him up after the 30 days.
Like, you know what? You convinced me. I knocked this down a half point. 2.5. yeah, 2.5 for me. That's mine. But that brings us. Let's jump on to the next review because I really want to get your stand on this. And Self-Reliance just is now you're making the points go down faster.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. You pointed out good things. I can change my mind, good or bad. All right, Dreamer. Dave Chappelle's new special. It's catching a lot of criticisms for the trans jokes. Catching a lot of criticisms for his disabled jokes. My feelings, and I'm going to share this, and I don't expect you to have to share your feelings on it because I know it can be people tend to pick this apart. Dave Chappelle doesn't bother me because ultimately, like, he's a part of that culture in the comedy world where they don't get it. So the things they're making fun of, that's what they're. And now, yeah, I'm not saying he's doing it deliberately to tear you down. I think he is, but personally, like, because he's at war and it brings on even bad publicity, brings on publicity. People are paying attention, right? So with that being said, I watch his specials because outside of a lot of like the pointed jokes, which to me, it's just not funny when you're punching at somebody like that, whether it be down, up, or in between. Like, you're targeting, and it's just like, it's fun to maybe do a stereotype joke here and there, or this, that, and the other thing, and like make everybody laugh. But I feel like you should be good natured throughout towards anyone that could possibly be there. You know, maybe not dogs or whatever, or Alf, but you know, like to me, it's like you should at least try and like think about anybody who's there. Like, yeah, make fun. Maybe they've been through this and you're making a joke, but the joke is a joke. I'm not saying this about you.
Right.
I'm not calling the victims this. So once I get past that, I know a lot of people can't watch him. I'm still like, his other jokes that are outside of that are really funny. He's a great comedian. So, and there are people who find his other stuff funny, and that's fine too, I guess. But it just doesn't hit me. I don't think he needs to be canceled. That's a personal preference. I was like, I don't think anybody needs to be canceled. I'm not for cancel culture. Like Harvey Weinstein wasn't canceled. The consequences of his horrible actions finally caught up with him, and they should have caught up with him earlier. Shame on the celebrities. Talk to them. So stop bitching about people who are like, cancel culture sucks because you're using it as a weapon, and you know, and you're doing that with Dave Chappelle's apparently, and that just sucks for anybody. So with that being said, I did enjoy it. Not all of it. The targeted jokes again weren't funny. They just felt like kind of cheap, like cheap knocks. So it knocked down my rating for me quite a bit. I wish for a special that was like 20 years after he did Killing Them Softly, which is one of the greatest stand-up specials of all goddamn time, and had the same kind of jokes that he said in this one, but they weren't targeted. They were just jokes. And that's what I mean. If you watch these two different specials, this special is done. Some of these jokes were done with anger towards a group that was trying to attack him. But you go back to Killing Them Softly, it's like, it's all fun. Everybody's just having a good time and laughing and doing a good time. And that's why like this one just misses the mark, you know? Even the last one, like I liked the story. I thought it was funny, kept me going. But this, I was like, come on, Dave, man, let that shit go. Like, why does it have to be turmoil all the time? But I would love to hear what you think, sir.
So, like you said, there were some good laughs there, and I'm not going to sit here and be like, I'm the best comedic judge ever, because I like Louis C.K., who got canceled, right? But I still
another
think
one I didn't think needed to be canceled.
Right. But those
maybe it needed to be brought up. So like, I think
Yeah.
in situations like that, it's like, you did something fucked up and you should apologize for it to your victims.
Right.
I don't need your apology.
Right.
You know, like, you know, and I don't think women everywhere need your apology, nor do women everywhere even need to know who you are if that's the case. But apologize to your victims, stop doing it, and then let the guy work. Sorry, I didn't mean to interject, but I just wanted to.
No, you're good. But because of that, you know, I do enjoy some shock value jokes. Now, like you said, these were very targeted, and it was almost cringy in some parts where I was like, can we let up a little bit, man? Like, I just want to laugh. I don't want to, you know, there's a difference between like me and Matt, for instance, when we're going back and forth and joking with each other. It's different when it's just joking and if you're actually attacking someone, and everyone knows the difference. And this just felt awkward. Like you were an awkward person just watching them just get back at the community. And I didn't really care for it. And typically I'm very open comedically because I think comedy, certain things are allowed within comedy because I like Mel Brooks and stuff. I get it's, you know, not okay nowadays, but for the time and things like that, those like Blazing Saddles makes me laugh my ass off.
To me, cheap comedy, and that's not to say it can't exist.
Right.
Cheap comedy is sort of like the late night show monologues. I remember the 90s when Monica Lewinsky was running around, and now, like, don't get me wrong, but I was a teenager and I was hearing adults say some pretty horrible shit about this woman that the president fucked over, and nobody was saying anything about him. Like, okay, well, you know, we're gonna, you know, fucking take you out, you know, but no, it's not gonna happen. He's fine, and we still praise him as a hero. So, like, the reason I say that is because those late night comedians for years have always been very pointed in their jokes. Like, let's make fun of this person because she's in the news. Comedians will make fun of it, but they'll make fun of all the shit that goes around it.
Right.
And so, like, but this special did feel like a late night comedy special, and it took away from the fact that in 20 years he's back in this place where he made probably one of the greatest comedy specials of all time, and we're talking about this again.
Right.
You know? Yeah, so I get what you're saying.
I also think, because like I love Robin Williams stand up, and I feel like his got better and better, and he got distinguished, you know, while he was alive. Rip, you know, Robin Williams. I expected him to be very distinguished, well versed, all the jokes to hit, for them to be great. And I just feel like he took a step back from his last stand up, like you just said. Yeah. So it's like, I mean, I still like him, but I'm like, you know, you kind of set the bar at like, we'll say a solid 8, and now you just came back, and this clearly was just an excuse for you to have a stage to kind of talk shit about a certain group.
Yeah.
You kind of went down to a 4 for me, and I didn't expect that.
That's why. Yeah. I don't mean to take this away from you, but like, I take away what you're saying. I'm just a blowhard and I'm terrible at stuff. But that's why I always say, Don't come at things with hate, come at them with love.
Right.
You do this shit. If you point because you're upset or angry, it's not funny. But if you went out there and made everyone laugh and nobody was offended, not saying you can't make jokes about something, but not beating on everything, because now what you did was you tried to use disabled people as a metaphor and offended disabled people. And it's like, but you couldn't just make jokes and make us laugh, disabled jokes, trans jokes, whatever, but like in a sense of like, it's all love, man. Let's just have some fun.
Right.
You know, but yeah, I'm with you on that. Our ratings for this are identical. We both gave it 2.5. I check it out. Don't check it out. It's really not that great personally, but that's where we stand. Let's get to mixed movie pick and then end this thing, because we got to get on our start. That's right. It's mixed movie pick this year from the year 1989, and I'm going with a mainstreamer. It's a sequel. I'm going with 1989's Police Academy 5. That is right. City Under Siege. This was the first Police Academy movie I ever saw, and it just stuck with me. So I think because I was going through and I was kind of adding things, I saw this and I was like, this is one I kind of want to see, to kind of think about my childhood and like watching this movie when it was on TV. So I suggest everybody want a good laugh. You want to get out there. It's zany, it's crazy, it's absurd. Have some fun. Nothing's pointed, and it's a good time. Paul, have you ever seen the Police Academy movies?
I've seen the first 2. I didn't know there were 5.
Oh, there's not 5. There's not 5.
Oh.
There's like 7 or 8 of these bad boys.
Oh, so
this franchise goes as far as so many more wonderful horror ones. But yeah, no, I definitely think this would just be a really fun laugh. So this is my mixed movie pick for the week from 1989. And before we get going, I want to say thank you to everybody who joined in watching tonight or is listening at a later time or watching at a later time.